All right, about 6 after now, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So for any of you who don't know me, my name is Derek Donaldson. I'm the HR supervisor with Donnelly-Boland and Associates. We also have Dan DeStefano and Kirsten Sikora from Liberty Insurance. They've been handling our benefits for a while now. Most of you probably know them, but they're going to be handling the bulk of our presentation today. And we also have a few of our accountants here that specifically handle the BOF, who are going to talk for 5 or 10 minutes here after Dan's presentation is over, just to talk a little bit about the BOF benefit as a whole, the quarterly statements that they send out, and just submitting for reimbursement through the BOF. So make sure you stick around for that at the end. So just looking at all the names here, if you do not have your full name displayed, can you please update that for your first and last name? We're just trying to keep attendance on today's meeting, and we want to make sure we get everyone's name correctly. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we will get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with here is Vista. So I have my Vista up on the screen right now, but I want to just review this just real quick for about a minute or so, just to show you guys where you can go within Vista to pull and see what your current coverage is. So if you log into Vista, you go to your benefits here on this left-hand column, current enrollment on the top tab, and then active benefits. And once you go in there, this will display all of your current benefits. It will also show you the monthly cost for those benefits. For me, you can see I'm in the BOF plan, so I have that, and then BOF family dental, short and long-term disability, vision, everyone has vision. But this is just a nice one-stop shop if you want to jump in and see what your current coverages are when you're completing the annual open enrollment form that we're going to complete here and walk through in a minute. So that's the Vista part here. Now let me bring up the annual open enrollment form. So most of you have seen this form before. It's a relatively minimal changes every year, just with the plans as they change or who our insurances are through. But section 1, you'll see here, confirming your current benefits. So we need everybody to complete section 1, regardless whether you're making changes or not. We need everyone just to confirm that they know what their current coverages are. So we'll walk through this real quick. So your current medical coverage, obviously you would just select the plan that you have. If you waive, you would select the waive BOF box, and then you'd come over to the coverage level and select the level of coverage you have, none if you're enrolled in the BOF. Same thing, dental, vision, short and long-term disability. The voluntary life insurance, this is the additional voluntary life. So we removed basic life, it used to be on here, but everyone has that as it's a company-sponsored benefit. So this is just the additional voluntary life if you have that additional amount. And if you don't, you check the not enrolled here, and that's the end of section 1. Slide down to section 2 here. This is if you're changing any of your benefits. If you're not, check the box right here with the red lettering that says please keep all my benefits the same. And if you are changing any of your benefits, you would check the box for each benefit that you're changing. So if you're going from single to family vision, check that box. If you're going from single to family dental, you would check that box as well. So, and then you would complete the corresponding enrollment forms that go along with it. This year, all of the forms for open enrollment are being sent through DocuSign. With a lot of employees still working from home, we use DocuSign here to try to make everything electronic, make things a little easier for people who didn't have the ability to print and sign and scan forms back to us. So you should be receiving an email probably later today, tomorrow morning at the latest, with all of the open enrollment forms that you need to complete. Finally, down here at the bottom, print, sign, date, what company you are, and you'll see the due date. All forms are due back to HR or completed through DocuSign by March 19th. And this is just to give us enough time to review your form, make sure everything looks correct, make all the changes on our carrier websites prior to the April 1st open enrollment. So does anybody have any questions on looking at your benefits in Vista or the open enrollment form? If you do, please feel free to unmute and ask that question now. Okay, if nobody has any questions there, I just want to run through a couple more things. Like I said before, if you don't have your full name, please update that. Just go right click and rename and put your full name in there in the box, especially if you have a number or anything like that. That's not your full name. Like I said, we're trying to keep attendance on this, so if everybody could update that, I would appreciate it. If you have any questions throughout Dan's presentation, feel free to put them up in the chat. I'm going to try and keep my eye on that and answer any questions as Dan's presenting. And if I don't know the answer here, we'll wait for the end of the presentation and I'll follow up with those questions with Dan to get everything answered. And then the last thing before I turn it over to Dan, we're going to talk a little bit today. Dan's going to talk about HRA balances and HRA contributions by the company. If you want to know what your current HRA contribution is, go ahead and shoot me an email or anyone from the HR department after today's meeting, and we can let you know what your current balance is. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dan here to start his presentation.
Thank you very much, Derek. I appreciate the introduction. You gave me controls on the screen, correct?
You should be good, yes.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for that. We have a lot of information to cover, everybody. I know maybe you're going to try to take notes. You want to take notes, that's great. Please be advised that Derek will send this entire slide presentation out to everybody afterwards. So don't feel like you need to write every single word down. A lot of information. All the benefits are going to remain with the current carriers, your Vision Benefits of America, your UPMC health plan, your Sun Life insurance for disability and dental coverage. They're all remaining the same, but we'd like to do a refresher course and appreciate the opportunity that your employer gives us to do that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and start my presentation. You have 4 plans to pick from with UPMC. Regardless of which of the 4 plans you enroll in, there are several benefits available to everybody, regardless of which plan. First things first is you should be utilizing the UPMC mobile app. It's very simple. You have a smartphone, download the app. You can see right here a lot of things you can do with the app. You can access your ID cards. You can chat with member services. You can manage your prescriptions in the pharmacy center. You can check the status of claims. So it's just a nice mobile app. Allows you to keep your ID cards, keeps you in contact with UPMC. Again, regardless of which plan you pick, that's available to everybody. Next, we have a value-added benefits rider. This is an EAP program. EAP standing for Employee Assistance Program. Everybody has access to the EAP. It is a 24/7 concierge service. It's a value-added benefits rider. If you're struggling with stress, we got this pandemic. You're struggling with stress and whatnot. You need counseling, therapy. You want to just speak to someone. There's no cost. It's completely private and confidential. It's not connected, if you would, to the health plan itself, but it is connected to the UPMC health system. So it's a great benefit. If you need to speak to someone on a professional level, it's there for you. And in addition to that, you have additional discounts with the dental program and a vision program. Again, Derek's going to share all this information with everybody after the meeting, but please take time to look through it. It's a great benefit package your employer puts forth. It's really awesome. It's a very comprehensive, it's a great benefit package. Just make sure you're available and aware, I guess I should say, you're aware of everything that's included with the program here for you folks. Another benefit is Assist America. Assist America is a global concierge service. Travel emergencies can happen anywhere, anytime. Assist America has you covered. They're there to help you. Even if you want help before you go on a trip, you can talk to Assist America. They also have their own app. I encourage you to download their app and get registered with Assist America. I mean, if you have an emergency, something comes up, they are there to help you. Let me scroll down here and just point out a few key things. Excuse me. They're there for medical consultation, evaluation, referrals. They can help with hospital admission assistance, emergency medical evacuation, and medical repatriation. So it's a great service. Please look at the brochure. It's there to help you. As an example, I have a client with UPMC. 3 years ago, he and his wife were in Mexico. She had a stroke the day before they were supposed to leave. Jim called me about 8 o'clock at night. Dan, what do I do? What do I do? Everybody is speaking Spanish. She's in a hospital. The only thing I understand is Visa and MasterCard. And I said, Jim, time out. Call Assist America. They provided several resources for him. Number one, they had translators that were talking to him throughout the day, every day. She had to stay an extra 8 days till she was stable, but they guaranteed the hospital admittance. He didn't have to burn his Visa card or MasterCard. They were, talked to him every day. They talked to the physicians every day. And then they scheduled the flight home for him and his wife when she was stable. So it's a great resource. Make sure you're aware of it. And again, they have an app as well. Please download it to your phone if you have the smartphone. Anywhere Care, another benefit, regardless of which plan you pick. You have 4 choices, but regardless of which plan you select, you have Anywhere Care access. What is Anywhere Care? Well, it's right here, first paragraph. If you have non-emergency, non-urgent symptoms, UPMC Anywhere Care lets you have a face-to-face conversation with the UPMC provider via live video on your mobile device, tablet, or computer. So it's a telemedicine program. The co-pays are very minimal. If it's COVID concerning, UPMC just told us that they were going to extend the zero copay for the COVID situation. So if it's not serious, pink eye, working in the yard, starting to get nice, you get the poison ivy, maybe it's a UTI, something along those lines, ear infection, whatever, you want to use Anywhere Care. You don't have to go to urgent care. You don't have to go to the emergency room or even to your doctor's office. You can do it right from the convenience of either work or at home. Okay, again, available regardless of the plan you select. Next, we have, you got the mobile app, Anywhere Care, Assist America, we're good. Okay, so now we are actually going to go into the presentation. Okay, so this is your 2021 open enrollment overview by Donnelly-Boland and Associates. Your open enrollment period will run from February 25th through March 10th. Medical, dental, vision, life, and disability. Enrollment forms must be submitted to the HR department no later than March 15th, please. We need to get these forms turned in no later than the 15th. Choose carefully. The benefit elections you make during open enrollment will be in effect for the entire year. The plan year runs from April 1st through March 31st. You cannot make changes to your elections during the year unless you have a qualified insurance change, such as marriage, divorce, birth, adoption of a child, death, loss of other coverage, or employment status change. If you experience a change, a qualified event, if you would, please notify Human Resources within 30 days. For the 2021 overview, as I mentioned, we are keeping all the plan offerings the same. We are going to remain with UPMC. You're going to have 4 plans from which to select from. It's a very, very rich package. It's really nice that what your employer has put together for you. It's pretty awesome, actually. So the 4 choices are, you have a healthy incentive account option, a PPO 1250, a healthy incentive option, PPO 2000. You have an EPO MyCare 1000, and you have an EPO MyCare 3500 plan. But please note that the EPO plans provide for in-network benefits only, except in the case of emergency. Emergencies are covered anywhere and everywhere, okay? The difference is the PPO plan allows you to go out of the area, out of the network, and utilize a non-participating provider. UPMC will end up paying probably half the claim. So for example, if you heard there was a fabulous doctor in Florida and you need knee surgery and you want to go to this doctor in Florida, UPMC would pay about half the bill if you were enrolled in one of the PPO plans. If it's a MyCare plan, they would not pay for anything unless it's an emergency. Emergencies are covered everywhere. Okay, so let's look at the plan designs. The first plan designs we're going to look at are the healthy incentive account plans. Healthy incentive PPO 1250 health incentive, PPO 2000. They function the same way. They're very, very, very similar. What's different? It's right here, the deductible, $1,250 versus $2,000. After deductible, the plan pays 90%, which means you pay 10%. You might right away be thinking, well, what if the bill's $100,000? 10% of $100,000. Does that mean I'm going to owe $10,000? No, because the next line says out-of-pocket maximum. Your out-of-pocket maximum for the first plan is $2,500. So it's $1,250 of the deductible plus 10% until you reach a total of $2,500. Then after that, the plan would pay 100% of all eligible charges. Over here, it's a 90%, same thing, up to a total of $4,000. Okay, so this plan has a higher deductible, a little more out-of-pocket expense, but you're going to see at the very end, it is a lot less premium to be on this plan. Your virtual visits, urgent care, 90% after deductible, 90% after deductible for PCP, specialist, 90% after deductible. Urgent care, emergency room, 90% after deductible. Your preventive care, regardless which 4 plans you select, regardless which one of the 4 you choose, your preventive care, if coded properly, is covered 100%. Okay, your preventive care is covered at 100%, no deductible, no copay, as long as it is coded properly. UPMC has identified about 70, 75 items that are routine in nature, such as all your well child care, all those baby visits, immunizations, adult physicals, OBGYN for the ladies, mammograms if you're of the proper age, maybe colonoscopy over 50, flu shots, shingle shots, etc. They are all covered 100% with no deductible, no copay, as long as it's coded properly. I'll give you an example. A couple years ago, I went to my physician. I do my annual exam every April. Went to see the doctor, routine exam, everything was great. Then I mentioned, hey, by the way, my shoulder's starting to bother me. Do you think it could be anything serious, or should I maybe just take some ibuprofen, or do you think we should look at an x-ray, or what do you think, doc? Of course, he made a couple comments. Next thing I know, I got billed for an office visit, a copay, because it turned into a diagnostic exam as opposed to a routine exam. So again, if it's coded properly, 100%, no deductible, regardless of which plan you choose. After the preventive care, the next line is hospital, inpatient, outpatient, diagnostic, basic, and advanced. All covered 90%, either plan, after deductible. So again, both plans function the same way, just a little higher deductible on plan number 2. Both plans have prescription drug coverage. Generic, the most you pay is $8. Brand name formulary is $38. Brand non-formulary medications have a $76 copay after the deductible. Once you meet your deductible, you can pay for 2 months and get the 3rd month for free. So they have a 90-day supply with the mail order program. Specialty medications are $76 after deductible, and you can only get a 30-day supply. Okay, pretty straightforward. Now, here comes the twist. With these 2 plans, it says Healthy Incentive Account, PPO. UPMC has attached a rider to both of these plans, whereby if you do the things that we all should be doing, you can earn $500 with UPMC to help offset this deductible. Get your annual examination, get your teeth cleaned, get your vision, get your eyes checked, get your vision exam, sign up for a stress management class, a healthy eating class. So you can earn, as an adult, you can earn $500 in either plan, okay? So that would lower the deductible by $500 with this plan, lower the deductible by $500 with that plan. So it's a nice benefit. That is kept and administered by UPMC. And I know it's very easy to accumulate the $500. So if you sign up for one of these plans and you do the things you're supposed to do, and let's say May 1st you go to the doctor because you're not feeling good, he writes a prescription, she writes a prescription, that cost will be paid by UPMC. They will take it out of your healthy incentive account. When you go to the pharmacy to pick up your prescription, the charges, the cost for the prescription will come out of your healthy incentive account. So you wouldn't pay anything. Okay? So we'll go into more detail about what these plans cost you to participate down the road, and I'll review the highlights again. But I just want you to know those are two plan options you have, and you can earn $500 as an adult in either plan. Great plans, very nice, very convenient. Next we have MyCare Advantage plans. Excuse me 1 second. Okay. MyCare Advantage plans. We have an EPO MyCare 1000. I have an EPO MyCare 3500. Well, as you might suspect, the difference being right here. Deductible level 1 1000, deductible level 1 3500. Okay. And you'll notice right away level 1, level 2. What's that, Dan? Both plans have level 1, they have level 2, level 1, level 2. With this program, either of these two programs, UPMC has identified what we call preferred level 1 providers. If you utilize a level 1 provider, your deductible is less and your copays are less. All right, well, who's a level 1 provider? Who's a level 2 provider? Level 1 providers are everything that UPMC owns. So everything they own is a level 1 provider. That makes it pretty easy. There's a lot of independent hospitals that participate with UPMC, such as the Cleveland Clinic, Heritage Valley, St. Clair, Mon Valley, Washington Hospital, Excella Health. They are all level 1 providers. Emergencies are all level 1 providers, regardless of where you're at. So what's a level 2 provider then, Dan? Can you make that easy for us? Level 2 providers, UPMC has contracts with a lot of independent hospitals. There's only 2 hospitals that they consider a level 2 provider, and that is Ohio Valley and Jefferson Hospital. So for routine scheduled care, you don't want to have your carpal tunnel surgery at Jefferson, your elbow surgery, you don't want to schedule at Ohio Valley. Emergencies covered at level 1 anywhere. UPMC also goes on to tell us that regardless if you have this plan or any other plan, 96% of all the claims they process are level 1 providers. So for the most part, you folks are using level 1 providers whether you realize it or not. So let's look at the plans, and I'm going to concentrate on level 1 benefits. Deductible 1000, 3500, 100% coverage after deductible, 100%, 100%. Out-of-pocket maximum, $68.50, here's $81.50. It's rather high, but the only way I think you could possibly get there is if you go to a level 2 hospital, for non-emergency. So again, you don't want to go to Jefferson, you don't want to go to Ohio Valley for a scheduled surgery or a scheduled procedure. Office visits, 20 and 40 for family and specialists. Here it's 30 and 60. Now, if you look at the directory and you see you want one of these plans, but perhaps your specialist is a level 2 provider, well, you can go to your specialist under this plan, you'd pay $80. Under this plan, you'd pay $90. And then you would have, if you have a family physician that's a level 1 provider, you'd pay the lower copay. So you can't go back and forth throughout the year. Virtual visits, minimal copays, urgent care 5, PCP 10, specialist 20. Over here, it's 5, 15, and 30. Urgent care and emergency room. Urgent care being defined as an urgent care facility. It's the ones with the purple UPMC insignia. It says urgent care on it. Here it's a $50 copay. Here it's a $75 copay. If you go to MedExpress, instead of paying $50, you'll pay $75. If you're in this plan, instead of paying $75, you'll pay $100. The emergency room itself, $150 regardless of which level 1 or level 2, okay? Preventive care, we talked about that already, 100% coverage, coded properly. Hospital inpatient, outpatient, diagnostic lab, basics and advanced, all 100% after deductible. So if you need an MRI, You don't want to go to Jefferson Hospital because you're going to end up with a deductible and 35% responsibility. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Prescription drug coverage, available day one. Generic, the most you pay is $15. Brand formulary, $30. Non-formulary has a $50 copay. Again, they have a mail order program. You pay for 2 months, you get the 90-day supply. And then they do have specialty medication coverage as well with a $50 copay. And you get a 30-day supply. But pretty straightforward. Excellent plan choices. Right away, you might be thinking, why would I buy this plan compared to this plan? Well, again, it's going to be a lot less premium to participate in this plan. And we'll get to the math exercise in a little bit. I'll come back to that. I want to go through some other benefits you folks have. Dental with Sun Life. It's a PPO plan that's not changing. There's no deductible. Your individual annual maximum is $1,500. Your orthodontia, separate lifetime orthodontia benefit for the children up to age 19 is $1,500 benefit. Your diagnostic preventive care is covered at 100%. Basic, 80%. Major, 50%. And as I mentioned, orthodontia services for the children, it's a 50% benefit up to a $1,500 lifetime maximum. So it's a great plan. Great plan. Please make sure you consider it. And we'll get to the pricing at the end. Your vision program.
I have a question about the dental. How do you know who's in network and out of network?
Very good question. Now, Kirsten's on the line. I'm going to let her answer that for you.
Sorry, I had to unmute. At the end of the slideshow here, you'll see a website for the Sun Life. It's Sun Life Connect. You'll be able to go online and look up providers. Or you can call on the back of your ID card. There should be an 800 number that you can call, and they can locate a provider for you as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Okay, the vision plan is with Vision Benefits of America. Very easy to utilize. The copay is $20, but it applies to materials only. Exams are covered every 12 months for children, 24 months for adults. Lenses, 12 months for children, 24 months for adults. Frames, once every 24 months within the program's $50 wholesale allowance, which is about $100 to $135 retail. And if you want contact lenses in lieu of glasses, it's a $100 allowance. Very easy to use. Go onto their website, find a provider, pick one that's close to work, close to home, or maybe, in between, whatever the case. No claim forms. Utilize a participating provider. Get your eyes examined. It's a great benefit, and it's very easy to utilize. Okay. The life insurance is packaged with Sun Life. You have life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment, short-term disability and long-term disability, all through Sun Life. The life insurance is a flat $15,000 for everybody, with an accidental death benefit included of an additional $15,000. Please make sure your beneficiaries are up to date. We want to make sure that they are the most accurate, the latest beneficiary designation. So please check what you have listed and make sure it's the right person, okay? You have short-term and long-term disability available to you. Short-term disability pays the first day of an injury, 8th day of an illness. It will last for 13 weeks, possibly 13 weeks. If you're disabled that long, it'll pay 60% of your weekly salary to a maximum of $800. If you're off for more than 13 weeks, it converts to a long-term disability plan. That's the 90-day elimination. It'll pay 60% of your monthly salary to a maximum of $5,000 per month. The maximum benefit period is up to your Social Security normal retirement age. Okay? Moving onward. Voluntary life insurance, you had that option last year. If you're an employee that's been here for a while, you could purchase life insurance, flat amounts, $25, $50, $100, or $150, and there was no questions asked. If you're a new employee, you can get this insurance without any questions. There's no pre-existing conditions, and it's a guaranteed issue. You can also add your spouse, you can add your child, but you must have coverage on yourself first before you can do that. If you did purchase insurance last year, Sun Life has given us a special, we'll call it a special enrollment. If you wish to increase your amount, Sun Life said they would let you increase it by $25,000 without any questions. Okay, so if you're interested in that, please contact your HR folks. And then someone asked a question about how do we find a dental life provider. So here we go. Medical, dental, vision, life, and disability. Here's the carrier names. Here's the customer service numbers. And then here is the website. And that is how you would find the participating dentist or participating vision specialist. Okay. With that being said, the last slide, although not the real last slide, but the last slide is now for me to say thank you. I'm wishing everybody the best of health and stay well. So let's go to the math exercise, because I guess in a tire business, this is where they say the rubber meets the road. So here we go. Okay. Oh, right away, we're looking over here. You have 4 plans to choose from. Let's look at the Healthy U 1250. Well, I know everybody was paying close attention, so you all know that this plan has a $1,250 deductible. Remember I said that you could earn $500 with UPMC. They would keep that in an account. It's connected to the health plan. Your employer, right here, company HRA, health reimbursement account. Your employer has set up a special health reimbursement account program. We put together this VIBA trust. The money goes into the VIBA trust. It's secure. It's there for you folks, but they will, if you sign up for this plan, they'll put $750 into your account for you. So you can earn $500 from UPMC. Donnelly-Boland's giving you $750. Simple math, $500, $750, that's your $1,250. They've taken care of your deductible for you. It's an awesome plan. Costs you $62.20 as an individual. There are 26 pay periods with Donnelly-Boland and Associates. However, they only make 24 deductions. So they skip 2 deductions each year. So this plan costs you $62.20 per pay 24 times a year. How about the Healthy U 2000? Well, this plan's only $36.97 per pay. You can still earn your $500. Donnelly-Boland will put $1,200 into your HRA. So $500 and $1,200 is $1,700, leaving you a deductible expense exposure of $300. But if you do the math, 62 minus 36 times 24, this plan saves you about $500 a year in premium. So maybe it makes sense to select that plan. All right. Next, we have the MyCare 1000. Very nice plan, a very rich plan. This plan costs you $72.53 per pay. It has a $1,000 deductible. If you select this plan, your employer is putting in $750 into your HRA. So it's really, again, a really nice benefit that your employer is providing for you. Now let's look at the last one here. Okay. Oh, I didn't want to go too far. I'll get there. MyCare, $3,500. Big deductible, $3,500. Only $10 per pay. Saves you $60 per pay, 60 times 24. It's about a $1,500 premium savings each year. Plus your employer is going to put $1,500 into your HRA account. So that's a $3,000 swing. So you might want to consider that plan. Here's a nice benefit. Regardless of which plan you choose, the HRA is administered and housed by Donnelly-Boland and Associates. It's not connected to UPMC. Regardless of which plan you enroll in, they will put this money into your HRA. They being Donnelly-Boland and Associates. I'll say it one more time. If you call UPMC down the road and ask them how much money you have in your HRA, they're going to chuckle and say, sorry, but you don't have an HRA. Because as far as UPMC is concerned, you do not have an HRA. The reason Donnelly-Boland and Associates does this is because we've set up that VIBA trust where the money could accumulate. So if you select this plan here, the 3,500, and maybe you're pretty healthy and you just get your annual examination, maybe a couple prescriptions throughout the year. At the end of the year, this $1,500 will roll over to the following year. We know for a fact, and if you're not sure, check with HR. We know for a fact that several people have $10,000 or more in their HRA accounts. And when you retire, that money is yours to take with you. So it is just an awesome benefit your employer provides for you folks. Okay, again, administered, housed by Donnelly-Boland and Associates, not UPMC. The Healthy Incentive Account, the $500 incentive account, that is administered and housed by UPMC with these two plans here. All righty, then last but not least, the dental plan. Here you go. Very inexpensive dental plan. $11.60 per pay for single, $32.38 for family coverage per pay, 24 times a year. Okay. With that, I will say thank you again for your time, your attention. I wish everybody the very best of health. We're not going anywhere, so we're here to help you with questions, and hopefully we can answer them for you.
Yes, if anybody has a question right now, feel free to unmute.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
So I have the Healthy You plan, and it's a family plan, but I still get billed for like my kids' well child checks. Like I pay for those. I pay like $68 a visit. Like, how do I make sure they're coding it right?
Three things I'd like you to do. Number one is I would call member services and say, hey, I took my child for a well care visit on whatever, December 10th, and I'm being charged against my deductible, or I'm being charged 10%. It was a well child exam. It should be covered 100%. So I would call member services first. Second of all, whenever you make your appointment, please make sure that you're telling the, we'll say the administrative person, that you are there for a well child visit or a preventive care visit. And when you get into the office, make sure you tell them, I do it every year. I say, hey, how you doing? Great. How's everything, Amy? Good. Hey, Amy, I'm here for my annual examination. This is an annual examination, routine examination, coded properly, Amy, because I'm not paying you a copay this year. So you want to do that. You want to make sure that the billing person is aware that it is indeed a routine preventive care situation. But I would call member services if I were you and talk to them about the appointments that you had and see what happened. And they may very well just reverse it and refund some of your money.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hi, this is Marianne Barco. I have a question about deductibles and out-of-pocket. Does that run calendar year or is that benefit year?
Benefit year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you explain the last column, the F column?
That's the employer contributions. So that's the per pay contribution that the company's making towards your premium.
Okay, thanks. And the HRA, you can only take out if you retire, or is it if you leave, or what? How do you get the HRA money? Is it just retirement?
So while you're employed, it's automatically reimbursed for any expenses that go towards your deductible. And something new that we added recently is called the retiree-only health benefit. And what that is anyone who retires with Donnelly-Boland Alliance, HSAO, your HRA money is able to be used in retirement. So you can take it with you in retirement. Not if you leave the company. If you retire with Donnelly-Boland, it almost turns into like a BOF type fund that you can submit for reimbursement. So if you have to go out and get your own insurance after you retire, you can submit those expenses for that still back here to Donnelly-Boland, and we'll reimburse you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, so I had this problem earlier in the year, and I just wanted to clarify or see if there was a handout or anything that was available to us. So I had to have a scheduled procedure done And before it, I thought I had to have a referral. So I went to my PCP. They told me we don't do referrals. And then the specialist told me that they needed a referral. So do we need referrals for specialists? I mean, mine was a gynecology visit, so I wasn't sure if we needed referrals or not.
You do not.
Okay.
Regardless which plan you select, you do not need a referral to see a specialist.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any chat questions you need help with, Derek? We good?
No, the chat is empty. Got
Okay.
nothing.
All right. We're here. Any other questions we can help you folks with? And again, Derek will be sending all this information out to everybody a little later on.
All right.
Okay.
If there's no additional questions, we're going to let Dan and Kirsten go here. And like I said, please stick around. Sam Lutz from our accounting department is going to talk a little bit about the BOF. So thanks, Dan. Thanks, Kirsten. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to turn it over here to Sam. She's going to talk about, like what I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation here, a little bit about the BOF and the quarterly statements that accounting prepares and sends out to everybody. So Sam.
Hi, I'm Samantha Lutz. I manage the reimbursement process for BOF Flex Fund and HRA. We're actually in the process of transitioning it to Gary Brugman, and he's on here. So Gary, if you want to introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so that's Gary. I'm sure you've seen his name in the emails, but I'm going to share my screen. I have a brief PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So we're going to go over the types of statements that you could possibly receive. The first statement is the Flex Fund statement, or the HRA statement, sorry. The first statement is the HRA statement, and this just shows what funds are available in your HRA. As Derek stated, if you want to know what your current HRA balance is to date, his team has that, so you can email HR to get a more accurate balance of your HRA balance. So this just shows how much you have available. The next statement is your Flex Fund statement. There are two types of Flex Funds. There is a Dependent Care Flex Fund and a Medical Flex Fund. So FFDC, that means Flex Fund Dependent Care. For Dependent Care Flex Funds, you can only be reimbursed up to the amount in which you have already contributed through payroll deductions. So Flex Fund is based on 26 deductions, unlike health insurance and BOF that are on the 24, the bi-monthly schedule. And then if you have a medical flex fund, this would say FFM for Flex Fund Medical. And that is pretty much like a BOF for reimbursement purposes, except you are not able to be reimbursed for health insurance premiums. The third statement is your BOF statement. As you can see, I'm enrolled in BOF, so I have the biweekly 75 contributions plus the BOF bonus, the 2,500 that was distributed on October 9th. This will show how much money is left in your BOF account. The fourth statement you get is the payroll deductions report. So this report is a consolidated snapshot of what is deducted from your paycheck on a bi-monthly basis for your premiums. Since we switched to Vista, it looks a little bit different than it did previously, but this is what needs to be submitted in order to receive reimbursement for health insurance deductions unless you're submitting your pay stubs. In April, we're going to include a cover sheet with everybody's quarterly statements. Just because we're all remote, we're hoping this will help people submit their request and not wait until after the deadline, because we've had numerous employees who are on our health insurance, but they haven't submitted for any of their BOF funds. So when you do submit, you'll need to submit the cover sheet. You'll fill out the fiscal year 2021, your name, date, company. So that would be the Alliance, HSAO, or DBA. You'll fill out the Flex Fund medical line. You'll put your amount on the amount line, and then the total reimbursement would be the sum of all your amounts. And then you'll sign and date. And these can be sent to viva@donnelly-boland.com. So you'll submit the cover sheet, and the deduction report. We do not need the BOF fund balance report, only the deduction report and the cover sheet. So did anybody have questions as to what the statements mean, where you can get them, where you submit?
Can you put the email address in the chat again?
Yep.
Sam, can they type their name in on that cover sheet for the signature line for people working remotely, or do they need to print inside?
I do not believe that it is an editable PDF. I have not accessed it from Vista recently. Let me see if I can get it real quick to answer that. So no, the form on Vista is not editable. But you should,
Yeah,
I was gonna say, you should be able to open it in Adobe and edit it in there.
So while people are thinking of questions and going along the point that Sam did, accounting makes this pretty much as easy as they can for people to get reimbursed for BOF, Flex Fund, everything like that by sending those quarterly statements. It's literally 2 pieces of paper. You use one as your backup and you sign the other one. It takes less than 5 minutes of time, and you can email it right to the Viva account to get that submitted. We were just recently reviewing forfeitures for last year, and there were a handful of people who are enrolled in our medical, received the BOF bonus, that $2,500, and never submitted, not even for the money that was coming out of their paychecks. And that would have been as easy as using the report that accounting sends, putting it on that cover sheet and sending an email. So you're looking 5 minutes of time. So we had a lot of people leave money on the table last year, which is why we asked Sam to come in and talk a little bit about the process.
Sam, Derek, this is Rukmini. I didn't quite understand what she meant by you can send in health insurance premiums. Can you do that only if you're in that UPMC plan, or what deductions really can you submit to the?
Sure. So that's going to be both. So if you're enrolled in our medical, you can use your own pay stubs, or you could use the quarterly statements that accounting sends out. It's a little easier if you can use those statements. You only need one piece of paper instead of pulling a bunch of pay stubs. But also, if you're on a spouse's plan, you can use your spouse's pay stubs, showing what they pay into your medical coverage or your dental coverage, and you can submit that for reimbursement as well.
And you can do that from the BOF medical plan, or is it like
the BOF period? There is no
okay.
BOF specifically for medical. It's just the BOF, your BOF account period. You can submit for that.
That's that. I didn't realize you could if you had other spouses insurance that you can actually use the BOF like that. So that's like a great.
Yeah, so absolutely. So I can tell you, yeah, for me personally, I'm on my wife's insurance, and I submit her pay stubs for reimbursement through the BOF. And then I'm enrolled in our BOF, so I get that $75 per pay. So we're able to submit that for reimbursement.
So
thank you.
So I'm going to share my Vista screen with you real quick. There is a BOF presentation available on Vista, so I'm going to show you how to get it, and that'll give you a little bit more information on what's eligible and what backup is actually required.
As well as the deadlines for submission.
So the deadlines are kind of outdated, but it still tells you they're due on the 5th business day of every month. So just be aware it's the wrong year. So when you're in Vista, you'll go to the home page and you will click in the top ribbon, Company Documents. So if you look to the left, you'll see BOF presentation. That gives you additional information on requirements for submitting. And then you will see the Flex Fund and BOF reimbursement form. That's the cover sheet if you want to access it electronically versus the paper copy that we're going to send out with our quarterly statements.
I have a question with regards to, and I don't know if you're going to review this or not, other documentation that's needed, such as for like receipts for doctor visits, co-pays, things such as that that are not covered under the HRA, but you're going to submit for reimbursement, like prescriptions and things like that. Do you need explanation of benefits along with the charge and the amount you paid, or how much documentation do you really need?
So there's a lot of ways that you can get the documentation we need. So what we need to see is who the service was for, what the date of service was, and the amount with proof of payment. So you could use your EOB for the service date and who the service was for. And sometimes it'll have a provider name on it. And if the provider name on the EOB matches the provider name on your receipt, then you're fine. We did just have an instance where the receipt showed a practice name and the EOB showed an actual doctor, so they didn't match. So it wasn't 100% clear for audit purposes what the charge was specifically for. So there's a couple different things, but the items we do need to see are who the service was for, the date of service, and that proof of payment. I don't know if that answers your question fully.
Sam, can you talk about prescriptions and what people have been doing recently or been able to get recently from their doctors to provide you guys for prescription reimbursement, the list of everything?
Yeah, so for prescriptions, we need to see who the prescription is for and proof of payment. So if you send us a receipt from Giant Eagle showing you picked up a prescription and it was $25, we'll need to see that that prescription was specifically for you. So we've had employees, take pictures of their medicine bottles that show their name on the bottle and then the date that it was filled. That's one way to do it, or the bag tags that come with the prescription, they're normally stapled on, and it has your name and the fill date. We also are able to have most people get a printout from their pharmacy that shows everything that you have picked up and paid for from the pharmacy. So they should be able to give you a statement, and you can just give them a date range, and that date range should show everything that was purchased. So if you want to do it quarterly, you can say from July 1 to September 30. If you want to do it for the whole fiscal year, they should be able to print it from July 1 to June 30. So there's a couple different options for prescriptions as well.
So I just did that recently. It was very easy. I went down to pick a prescription from the pharmacist and I let them know what I needed. They were able to give me a printout, one for myself and one for each of my kids. And then my wife went down when she had to get it, and she was able to get a printout for herself, and I was able to submit all four of those lists for reimbursement instead of having to keep every single prescription receipt.
So that's the key point. You're able to get it for yourself and children, but if you have adult children, anybody over the age of 18 or a spouse, you're unable to get it from the pharmacist. The person who it's actually related to from the age of 18 and beyond has to go to the pharmacy. So just keep that in mind, that you might not be able to go and get your entire families at once. Like Derek said, his wife had to get hers.
Hi, I have a question. It's me, Sabrina. So what do you do, which I know, Sam, I think I talked to you about this. My son had dental surgery. I had to prepay for what he needed done earlier. And then 4 days later, they did the procedure. And then when I went to go and submit it, it got kicked back stating that the date that I paid didn't match the date of the procedure. And when I went back to the doctor, they said that's how they do it. So I lost actually $400 because there's a lot of doctors, especially dentists, during the COVID. Now you have to prepay for a lot of the procedures that you're getting done, and it's not matching the date. So how are y'all going to go back and help somebody with that I just went through?
So most providers should be able to give you a letter saying that that payment pertains to services rendered on whatever the service date is. But also they might be able to provide you with a statement that shows the actual service date with the amount, and in the little memo fields, they might be able to make it say prepayment. I'm not 100% sure because it's provider specific.
Yes, I had all that on there and it still got kicked back. I had everything on there and it still got kicked back. I had the receipt, the date of the procedure, the amount that I paid. They wrote prepaid on the date, everything, and it still got kicked back. So I understand what you're telling people, but when you're telling people to go back and do everything, it's not being relayed to whomever's in the office that's doing it because it still got kicked back.
Okay, yeah, so let me look into that specific situation. I'm not sure why it got kicked back, but I'll send you an email, Sabrina, and let you know what I find.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have another question. This is Mary Ann again. And I just recently went through this. Should we submit through the BOF if we have an expense and not knowing whether it's covered under the HRA or going to be covered under BOF, and then just get clarification? Because I just recently had this issue. So I just didn't know how going forward we should do this.
So whenever we're reviewing BOF requests, we do look into HRA reimbursements if they do meet the specific criteria, if it is an amount that's going to go towards your deductible. So we, search for that. And whenever we process the HRA report, we do it the opposite way. We check for BOF to see if you have anything similar. So if you want to submit it, you're not 100% sure if it's going to come through HRA, feel free, and we'll catch it on our end.
Also on that, Marianne, I believe on your EOB, it'll tell you a dollar amount that goes towards your deductible. So anything that is going towards your deductible that you're paying, you should be reimbursed through the HRA. So that might be one tell that you could see on an EOB prior to submission.
But this was through an oral surgeon, so it's not, I didn't get an EOB from them.
Through UPN, okay.
Yeah, so it was outside of that provider network. So I just needed clarification, and it's not covered under the HRA. So ultimately I will have to submit it for the BOF.
Any other questions there?
There's a question in the chat asking about if you're enrolled in BOF and receiving the $75. So if you opt out of health insurance, you are then able to enroll in BOF. BOF is not something you can enroll in while being enrolled in health insurance. It's an incentive plan for employees, pretty much, I guess is the best way to describe it, where the company's not paying towards your health insurance. They're putting it into a medical reimbursement account.
Yeah, so if you're enrolled, Barb, I was just looking that up. So you're enrolled in our medical plan, so you wouldn't receive that $75 per pay. Like Sam said, that's for anyone who waives, they get that additional $75 per pay put into that BOF account that they can submit for reimbursement through. So if you waive medical, not only do you get the $75 per pay that goes into the BOF account, which works out to $1,800 additional BOF money per year, you also get dental coverage for free for you and family. So just throwing that out there.
And vision, dental and vision.
Vision's always free though, yeah.
And to clarify, they would continue to get the $2,500. So it's in addition to the $2,500.
Correct. That bonus is still to everybody.
$75 a pay to incent going on to a spousal plan.
I have a question. Am I able to submit what I paid you guys while I was on maternity leave for my health insurance?
Yes.
So how do I do that? Because I never got a receipt from you guys.
Yes, we don't process receipts. No, so the easiest way, honestly, would be to reach out to whoever in HR was processing your checks that you sent in. Is that how you did it? Did you kind of check?
Yeah, I think it was you, Derek, because Kelsey did some because she was on And then she went on maternity leave, and then I think, so I'm not
So
100%
yeah,
sure.
reach out to Kelsey. She'll be able to pull that information. So I can tell you what we do on the HR side of it is we put a breakdown together for every check that you send in, and then we send that breakdown down to accounting for them to process and disseminate your money to the correct accounts. So we should have each check that you submitted us along with the breakdown of exactly what that check was paying for, and we keep a copy of that in your personnel file. So Kelsey should be able to pull that for you and send you those specific breakdowns for any of the checks that you submitted, and then you can use those as backup for submission.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for anybody on BOF or anything benefit related? We'll give everybody another minute or two here, and then, like I said, we'll stick around, but we can let everybody else go.
Is there a list somewhere of what is actually covered under the BOF, like, and what is not? Because I think one year there was a Word document that had a list of things that were covered and were not. Is that out on Vista somewhere?
I remember that. Sam, was that part of that presentation?
So I think we briefly went over what was covered. I don't know if we had a full comprehensive list of it, but Publication 502 from the IRS is a good guideline to go off of. There are some exceptions in the plan doc, being, what are some of them, Derek, if you help me remember?
Some of the odd ones are because you can see things that would fall under eligible and ineligible. So it'll something like weight loss can be eligible and not eligible. So it's eligible if your doctor pretty much prescribes you something or to lose weight for medical reasons. But if you just want to take a spin class to help you lose weight, that wouldn't qualify as a medically eligible expense. So like Sam said, Publication 502 is a great place to go to kind of get an idea of what may or may not be, but it's not really like the end all be all. Each individual situation needs to be kind of looked at and assessed to make sure it would fall under eligible expenses for that.
So in the chat, there's a question of, is there a way to see when/what months we have submitted for BOF? Whenever you get the quarterly statement, anytime you see a negative amount, that's whenever you would have submitted.
This is one of the reasons I always recommend to anyone who asks me questions about this is submit for reimbursement through the VEBA account, because that's the easiest way. Then if you're not sure on something like this, you just go right back into your sent emails and see what backup you sent to accounting, and you can see what that last pay stub was, or what the last receipt was that you submitted for reimbursement. So that's a benefit of doing it electronically versus sending those original receipts to accounting.
And if you want to know specifically what was submitted, you can email the VEBA email, and we can send you your most recent request if that's what you're asking for, Taylor.
And Amy, for max life insurance, the $150,000 is the max employee life insurance for the additional voluntary.
Thank you.
Any other questions on anything? Again, if you guys think of a question here after the meeting ends, feel free to reach out to anybody in the HR department or to the VEBA account if you have a question for them. We'll get back to you with any answers.
Derek, Samantha,
Yes.
this is Rukmini. Could you just repeat again what you said about submitting it electronically to the VEBA account? Do you just mean email it to VEBA, or?
Correct.
Or is
You
it,
just send an email with the BOF, that cover sheet, and any of your backup information to that VEBA@Donnelly-Boland.com email address.
Okay, so there isn't, is there going to be something on Vista that you just upload, or?
No, it's just a standard email address.
Okay.
Just
okay.
So in the to line, you would just put the email address, attach any backup that you need, and send that along, and then whoever from accounting is reviewing that, that'll go right to them.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
There's one last question here in the chat. Rachel says, can you share the plan cost for voluntary life? I'm not sure what you mean by share the plan cost. You still on?
Yeah, like what are the costs per pay for the voluntary life for you or your spouse?
Oh, okay. You're talking about like what would the deduction be for each like tier of coverage?
Yes.
Yes. I don't have it open right now, but if you go onto Vista in the company documents section there, under the Sun Life enrollment booklet, it'll have a whole grid that'll show you, depending on what level of coverage you want and your current age, and it'll tell you there. Let me see exactly what it's called. Yes, it's called Sun Life Enrollment Booklet. And if you open that up, there'll be a page for voluntary life, and that will walk you through the cost of everything. So for you, if you're going to add a spouse, or if you're going to add a child. Let's see if I can find it real quick on what page. So the voluntary life looks like it starts on page 13 of that document, but that'll walk you through and it'll show you everything about the voluntary life and the cost plan.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I don't have anything else in the chat. Anybody else have a question before we end the meeting?
Is the beneficiary documentation out on Vista too?
It is on the enrollment forms, but if that's the only thing you're doing is you want to change your beneficiaries, just reach out to anybody in HR and we can send you the actual beneficiary change form so you don't have to deal with a whole enrollment packet. We have a one-page beneficiary change form that we can send over to you, make it a little easier.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. Well, if nobody else has any questions, we're going to go ahead and end the meeting. Like I said before, if you think of any questions here after the meeting's over, please feel free to reach out to anybody in HR or send something to the Viva account and we can answer your questions as soon as we can. Thanks, everybody.